weeks ago, Pastor Philip and my mom asked me to come up here and speak about what this church means to me. Yeah. And I thought, what in the world could I possibly say? Yet, to people who are so wise and so involved in this church and this community. I mean, I'm 23. What do I know? Then yesterday, as the Spirit always does, He laid something on my heart that I need to share. So let's go back to August of 2020. It was an interesting time for sure. I was 18 and going off to my first semester of college at UNC, but not the UNC y'all know, the University of Northern Colorado. It was a nice day and I was going for a walk around campus, probably to find where my classes were or something. And there was this guy sitting at a booth with lots of American flags on it in the middle of campus. I was walking by and we started to talk. We discussed politics, which was something that I never did. And we found that we agreed on a lot of things. He shook my hand, and at one point he asked me if I was a believer in Jesus. I didn't know who this man was at the time, but he left an impression on me as everything about him was contrary to what I had seen on campus and contrary to most people near my age. That man's name was Charlie Kirk. I started looking into him more, started seeing him on TikTok, seeing his debates, and the general life advice that he was giving to people my age. He spoke to the most lost and lonely generation in America's history. He encouraged us to get out of the house, to get off of our phones, to go on dates, to be social, and most of all, to find Jesus. 73% of Gen Z report feeling alone, sometimes or always. The answer to that problem is Jesus. He's the answer to everything. And find a community in those that represent him here on this earth. This church is an incredible example of everything that is missing in my generation. When my family and I moved to North Carolina, we knew that we wanted to find a church. And I had an image in my head of what church could be. It was an image of what's portrayed on TV, in shows like Sweet Magnolias and all those things, like this perfect little Southern church. We had gone to churches in Colorado, and some were good, of course, but there were none that truly felt like a community in the way that God meant church to be. And the first church we came to in North Carolina was this one. When we walked in, I could feel this warmth, and that was the presence of God. We came in, we sat in that pew, and I noticed that everyone was getting up and talking to one another. Everyone at the church knew everyone else, and I just thought, wow, this actually is a church family. The next Sunday, we came again, and as we walked out, everyone asked us if we were coming to the cookout for hot dogs and ice cream. To which my brother, of course, said, yes. After the cookout, people have been talking to us. We had lots of good conversations. We got in the car and pretty much said, well, we have no other choice. This is our church now. Over time, we've gotten to know people, and I felt embraced in a way that I had never experienced before. By everyone at Grace Chapel, and to all of my church grandmas and church grandpas, I say thank you for that. Because everybody needs that kind of community, and that's what I hope for with Back to Church weekend. Back to Church Sunday. I keep saying that wrong every time, I don't know why. That people everywhere will find their church family. This is a church where people are genuine in their faith, deeply rooted in their community, and are humble in a way that shows Christ to all who walk through those doors. This is a church that rallies around its members and invites new people in with open arms. This is the church that America needs. The assassination of Charlie Kirk has brought out the very best and the very worst in people. On the internet over the past few days, I've seen people celebrating the death of a man who stood for family, who stood for freedom, and most of all, faith. I've seen people saying absolutely evil things, but I've also seen that many more people saying that what they are seeing is absolutely sickening. There are millions of people that are waking up to the violence that we have become so incredibly numb to as a society. Why is our country so divided and so lost? Because we need Jesus more than ever. And this week, people across America and across the world are waking up to that. This week, things are changing for our country. And with Back to Church Sunday being next weekend, we have a God-given opportunity. God's timing is perfect. It's no coincidence that I'm the one speaking today. Yeah, a member of Generation Z. It's no coincidence that the theme of Back to Church Sunday 2025 is that life is better together. Humans need community. People of all ages need community. And when we're so on our phones, when we're so on our devices, when we're so isolated, we need it now more than ever. Community and God are what my generation needs and what every generation needs. On that day in August 2025, when I got to meet Charlie Kirk, he made an impact on my life and the lives of many other young people across America. He asked me about heading up a Turning Point USA chapter at UNC. Even if I didn't know who he was at the time, I could see that he was a man of good morals, of strong convictions, and of faith. I liked the idea of being like him, being a leader, heading a chapter of Turning Point. But back then, I said no. I wasn't brave enough. But today, I stand up here to speak to you and challenge all of you, the congregation of Grace Chapel Global Methodist Church, to be brave, to capitalize on this cultural movement, to honor the legacy of a man who wanted nothing more than to bring America back to its roots of faith and family, and who died for that dream. I challenge you to step out of your comfort zone and speak Jesus to someone unexpected, someone of my generation, someone of my brother's generation. Because even though everybody needs Jesus, it's young people growing up in this dark time in American history who need him most. Charlie was asked just 2 months ago, if it all went away, what would he want to be remembered for? His answer was simple. He said that he wanted to be remembered for having courage in his faith. So let's go out. Let's be courageous. Invite someone new. Invite someone young. Invite someone unexpected.